Thank you so much for being here. Do you mind sharing your name and where you're based?
Yes, thanks, Sarah, for having me. Yes, I'm Regina Chitralla, and I'm from Germany.
Thank you for doing this with me. I'm so excited to get to know a little bit more about you and also, you know, what brings you to the show. And then all of our listeners can learn about one of our wonderful writers for Frequency. So thank you for doing this with me this morning.
Thank you, Sarah, for inviting me. I'm very excited.
Lovely. Okay. I sent some questions. So I'm just going to run through those to start and then just see how it goes. But what motivates you?
What motivates me specifically in the writing process or in, okay, great. So, yeah, it's really a hard question because I started writing since I could read. So when I was a child, basically, at first I drew comics, which weren't really great because I don't have the artistic talent, unfortunately. So this is actually why I switched to writing. And then I partnered together with an old classmate, and she drew the comics, and I was writing and developing the story. So for me, the story building process in general was about friendship, creating something together in a team, and yeah, just getting your ideas on paper. That's what
Wow.
yes.
How young were you when you were doing that?
I think I was 11 or 12.
Wow. Oh my gosh, how fun. Do you remember the story or what it was that you guys were writing and like creating?
Yes. I remember it very clearly, actually. Yeah. So, do you want to hear more about the story? I doubt it.
Okay. I was just it's so curious. And that's so sweet that, your friend and you creating something together. Yeah, friendship. I'm assuming, are they still drawing?
I hope so. Yeah, we lost touch, unfortunately. I was trying
Mm.
to look her up, but unfortunately, we lost track. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Yeah. Well, what drew you then to writing something that's very different than a comic friendship thing, but now is horror drama? What drew you to Frequency?
Well, later on, when I was a teenager, I loved horror stories a lot. I was reading Stephen King and Frank Schätzing, watching also a lot of horror movies, like, for example, 28 Days Later. I think now the new sequel is also in the cinemas. So I really loved the thrill of it, and I imagined myself writing those stories as well. So this is why Frequency fits very well. But additionally, I work as a data analyst and in a very tech-driven environment. So also the science fiction elements that we're hoping to tell in the story is what excites me a lot, because I often envision what the future of my work or like the world around me will be
Yeah.
like. So it's very, very exciting to actually write about that.
Very cool. Do you, when you're writing, are you often picturing yourself as like Elise in because you're doing data and she's very also data driven. So as you're writing, do you just kind of feel that the blend between picturing Elise and picturing yourself is a little easier to do, or how do you approach writing with a character that's has a similar background like that?
That's very interesting. And I did think about this when I started writing episode 1. How do I want her to be? I mean, we had discussions internally with the writing team as well, right? It's not like me in solo creating the character. So therefore, I think it can never be only me 100%. That's a good thing. Because even though I work in this environment, maybe I am not the typical scientist that you would imagine, right? Like from
Mhm.
personality point of view. Of course, I do write her from what I know, from what maybe I would do in terms of using technology. Like, how would she approach that? So those are the things that I can weave in quite easily because I do have that background. But her personality, I don't think it's 100% me. I think it's a mixture of a lot of people that I know. And just creating a very unique character that faces challenges in a very unique way as well. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. And you mentioned since you're writing on a team, have you done this before? And what's been your experience of it so far?
Yeah. So I created my own comedy pilot not too long ago, and that was actually the first time that I was working together with writers. There was RTS, name, a very young writer from the UK, and was the very first time that I was pitching ideas, and I actually had the script already written, and he reviewed it, made some changes, and then we discussed it. So that was a very new process for me, and I learned a lot from it. So I think next time around, I would be more collaborative and not giving ideas ready to go. That's what I love about you, by the way. Just as a side note, yes, you're very collaborative, right? Like you engage us and like to have discussions internally as well. So that's good. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Writing a comedy in a group and then writing a horror in a group. What's the difference there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think humor is a bit more difficult even because humor is very subjective and very personal. Not the same, even the same group of people might not agree on humor, whilst horror elements usually are very universal. We're usually scared of the same ideas, the same concepts, whilst humor is very, very particular. So I think it's difficult to have this discussion where it's about something that you potentially find funny and the other person doesn't, because maybe there's another cultural context to it as well. Whilst I feel like horror is more universal.
Yeah. And what sorts of horror elements are you drawn to personally to enjoy like watching and consuming, but also writing? Like what sorts of things grab you and also make you a little scared?
Should I give it away? So I think
That's true. Maybe not give it away. Um, hmm, that's a good question. Huh. I guess anything you can't, like, is there a way to not give it away? It's tough.
yeah, I do think that specifically for the audio part, there are unique ways that we can thrill our listeners. Unknown noises or creating the atmosphere that keeps you on your toes. That's really where I would love to go. And I think, yeah, just fear of the unknown, fear of the dark, right? Fear of elements about yourself, maybe even. But I'm not gonna give away too much.
Yeah, I do realize that there is so much that has not been said about frequency because yeah, it would give it away, and we can't do that. So, got to keep it a secret. Um, so we're currently in the writing process for the show. We have quite a number of episodes, more than a dozen episodes ready. Uh, hopefully for the show. What's been sort of the challenge for you so far? We started about maybe a month or two ago. Yeah, what sort of challenges have you had to overcome for this project so far?
A couple, actually. So I think one of the first thing is pacing. There are maybe different ideas about how to pace stories, and that's something that I learned about myself as well. I like things to go fast, to hook listeners quickly, to grab their attention, drag them along, and experience the full spectrum of emotions. And I have to learn how to adjust to the pace of other co-writers as well, because maybe there's a difference, and that's very exciting because I do think that there's a lot of value as well in slowing things down and letting things breathe, and giving people time to process and visualize things. So that's definitely an exciting challenge. Another thing is probably the fact that I'm a non-native speaker and writer. I'm from Germany, and although I learned English pretty well in school, etc., and like had a lot of international experience, I wouldn't consider myself a native speaker. So therefore, a big challenge for myself was feeling maybe a bit of imposters, working with other native speakers specifically, and thinking, oh, can I keep up? Can I write as fast? Can I find the right words? But when I realized that I have a page in front of me and I start writing, I have the feeling like, okay, maybe I can hold my ground. Although this interview has been a potential nightmare of myself. And
oh, I'm sorry to hear.
No, it's all good. Maybe I can use the emotions to weave them into the story.
Oh, very true. Yes. No, and I think I've learned it's been so interesting to read other people's writing, but to remember that there are so many more elements that we can also play around. Like it's not just the words on the page, it is like the sounds, it's music, it's how the voice actors, like there's so much more that can go into it than just the writing. And so I have to remember that as I'm sort of trying to look at this story and think about elements like that. And I just want to trust, and I need to trust you all in your vision, because you guys have been doing some great work so far. So, yeah, it's been lovely. And I'm sorry that the interview is a challenge. You're doing great. Oh my gosh. I love this. Yeah. Let's see. Two more questions. What are your hopes and goals for the show?
Oh yeah, that's also an interesting one. Of course, I want Frequency to stick in people's head, not just a cool thing they heard, but something they feel even after each episode. I want that the world feels like it shifted a millimeter, and that they experience cathartism, so that they're really drawn to our world. They really feel and sense what we envision, and that they're scared a bit.
Yeah, we want to scare them.
Of course, and selfishly, of course, I also want to open maybe a few doors for further personal collaborations.
Yeah, lovely. And that's kind of my last question is any other ventures you're on right now or your personal writing, things that you're hoping for in the future?
Yeah, good thing you're asking. I'm currently continuing writing my comedy TV script. So the first episode has been already produced, and we're doing the festival run right now. And it's exciting to see that we get some resonance and even getting some awards along the way. So the exciting next step for this is to publish a book series, and actually it's something that I'm working together with Grant, who's also a writer on Frequency. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Wait, so the book series, sorry, I've lost what's going on. So you've got the comedy script and you're also writing a separate book right now. Is that correct?
It's the same story. So it's Project Stargate.
Oh.
An unscientific comedy, and we created the pilot, produced it already as a video, and funny enough, we collaborated with people like the guitarist from Alice Cooper as our narrator. It's a really funny and weird story, yes. And now we're also working on creating a book series around this. Yes.
Very cool. Can anyone find You said Project Stargate. Can anyone find it online?
Yes, the trailer at least. The pilot will be released once we're done with the festival run.
Very cool. Lovely. Great. Well, thank you for answering these questions. It's been so great to get to know a little bit more about you. And hopefully listeners can become inspired and more interested in our story, Frequency. So thank you so much, Regina.
Thanks, Sarah.